the choice of media.
An important announcement coming in from State Bank of India. They are saying that all your savings deposits, if you have more than 1 lakh in them, will be now linked to the Reserve Bank of India's repo rate. That's the benchmark policy rate. State Bank of India, in its announcement on Friday evening, has said that the savings deposit rate will be effective still be 3.5%, but it would be linked to the repo rate, which would mean that if the repo rate were to move from here on, so will your savings deposit rate if you have more than 1 lakh in that account. They have also said that overdraft accounts and cash credit accounts, the lending rate on those will be linked to the repo rate. Interesting move coming in from State Bank of India even before the RBI implements an earlier circular which suggested linking of lending rates or retail lending rates on floating rate products to an external benchmark. Joining us on the phone line to explain this move a bit better is Mr. PK Gupta of State Bank of India. Mr. Gupta, thank you for joining us. This is Ira here. So I'd like to first start by asking you what the logic of linking the savings deposit rates to the repo rate at this stage was.
See, there has been a lot of debate about the policy rates transmission. Okay, see, basically, again, if the banks have to do this transmission, so both the sides of the balance sheet of the bank has to be linked to the policy rates, actually. Okay, as far as the fixed deposits are concerned, so there the rate is already fixed, actually. Okay, any changes in the rate of interest will apply only to the incremental deposits. Okay, so one big chunk of our balance sheet on the liability side is the savings bank rate, where the banks have the discretion to fix the rates. So we believed that the best way to do the policy transmission would be through linking the savings bank rates to the policy rates. And this is what happens in many of the advanced countries also. And this actually gives us then the flexibility to do the policy transmission on the asset side also. So what we are saying is that all the cash credit and the overdrafts above 1 lakh will again be linked directly to the policy rate, so that whenever there is any change in the policy rates there, those rates will also change. But more importantly, in the MCLR calculation, the savings bank rate plays a very important role. Almost 40% of deposits are coming from the savings bank. So the MCLR impact of this itself works to about 7 to 8 basis points. So which means that when the savings bank rates get reset, even the MCLR linked loans also will get impacted by almost 7 to 10 basis points. So the complete transmission of the policy rates will happen through this mechanism.
Mr. Gupta, a couple of follow-up questions. So the first one being from a customer viewpoint, what proportion of the deposit base will get repriced because of this, or have potentially get repriced because of this?
See, in terms of our savings bank book, almost 98% of our deposits are below 1 lakh. So those customers don't get impacted. But in terms of value of accounts, almost close to 80% of our savings bank book has balances above 1 lakh. So that is the book that will get impacted, and which will give us the flexibility to reprice the asset side.
Okay, and you said out of your total deposit base, 40% is savings accounts. So 80% or 40% essentially gets repriced. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So my second question is that the release that you sent out doesn't give any clarity on retail loans, retail floating rate products. Is there any change on how those are going to be priced, sir?
See, as of now, they are linked to the MCLR. Okay, so we believe, on the retail, there are a lot of loans are already fixed rate loans. Okay, so there these changes don't make any impact. So most of the personal loans, auto loans, they are all fixed rate only. Okay, so, but for most of the other loans which are linked with the MCLR, so there again the transmission will happen through the changes in the savings bank rate itself, as that is a very big composition of our MCLR calculation.
Okay, so essentially you're saying because of this change in your deposit pricing, all floating rate loans effectively now do get linked to an external benchmark, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So could you give us in the current context, what would say be a movement, just again from a customer viewpoint, if for instance in April the RBI were to cut the repo rate by 25 basis points, what would the impact on the MCLR be and hence on the savings deposit rate and potentially some impact on the retail loan side, if you can give us?
Yeah, on the savings bank rate, practically above 1 lakh balances, the 25 basis points, the impact will come. And on the asset side, all the cash credit and the ODs will get impacted by 25 basis points. And all the loans which are linked with the MCLR will get impacted by close to 10 basis points.
Okay, understood that. So the spread that you have mentioned, both first on the savings deposit side, is that spread going to be constant or does the bank retain the flexibility to move that spread vis-a-vis the repo rate?
See, as of now, the plan is to keep the spread constant so that the transmission can happen.
What was the determinant of that spread, sir?
The spread is that right now we are doing it, so we are keeping the current rates the same actually. So whatever we have, like right now our savings bank rate is 3.5% and the policy rates are 6.25%. So what we are saying is that there is a differential of 2.75%. We will try and keep this differential same actually.
Okay, but I'm just wondering in the future, what would be the determinant? Would it just be liquidity conditions, credit and deposit growth conditions that would determine that?
I think will be more determined by the fixed deposit rates. So that is something which we still have the flexibility. So your liquidity and your demand and supply, all those concerns we believe will get addressed through the fixed deposit rates.
Okay. And on the spread on the overdraft and cash credit, so that of course is, as you said, it's the floor rate. And over and above that, your credit rating then impacts what actual spread you pay over the repo rate.
See, right now, most of on the asset side, these loans are linked with the 1-year MCLR, which is currently 8.55%. So what we are saying is that going forward, we will try and keep this spread at 2.25% over policy rate, which works out to 8.5 in today's date.
Okay. So a broader question, the RBI had put out that, or actually they had in a policy two policies ago said that banks should link floating rate retail products to the external benchmark. We didn't get a final notification from the RBI on whether that would be implemented 1st April or not. How come our SBI has sort of taken a preemptive move but done it in the reverse, started with repricing of deposits rather than of loans, which is what the RBI had suggested?
No, this is something we have been doing a lot of brainstorming within the bank on how we can do it. So we believe that this is probably the best way to do this. So as it is, I think that this is the best way to do the policy transmission, and we see how this experiment goes, and then over a period of time, maybe the more of the bank's balance sheet on both sides can get linked actually. See, the problem is the inflexibility comes from the fixed deposit rates being the fixed tenure rates actually. So that is where we need on the asset side also. So the linking with the MCLR gives us that flexibility actually. Okay, and on the savings bank, the rates can actually be linked very easily to the benchmark. And that is something, again, as I said, happens in many of the advanced countries also.
Okay. Last question, sir. Would you expect the rest of the industry to follow?
I think this is a very good way, actually. And I think it addresses all the concerns of RBI, the concerns of the government of India, and everybody who wants a quicker transmission of the policy rates. So right now, there were a lot of rigidities which were there in the system. There were a lot of structural issues. So unless the balance sheet of the banks were linked to the policy rates, so the transmission would not have been possible. So this, I think, is a very, very major way by which that the bank's whole balance sheet is getting linked to the policy rates so that the transmission will happen automatically.
Absolutely, sir. SBI has certainly shown leadership in this. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for speaking to us on Bloomberg Quint.
You're welcome.